Hello everybody, this is my group's project presentation. We have me, Sameel and Leticia here today to do this presentation. For our idea, we have been doing a greenhouse environment system. This system was mainly decided on for solving an issue where you can only grow certain plants within certain environments, such as in a different country or during different seasons. The way we did this was by focusing on having a temperature monitoring part of the system set up, a CO2 level monitoring system sensor, and a soil watering system. This is my temperature monitoring system. It looks to see if there's a 32 degrees at maximum height and an 18 degree at minimum height. So it is using different hardwares to make sure that it is between them. Some of the hardwares I am using is a TMP sensor, which is also known as a temperature sensor, a potentiometer, which is the round dial that sets the brightness of the screen and the visibility of the text on the LCD monitor. We have an LCD monitor to display the temperature and the state. We have a DC motor, which is simulating a fan to indicate the fan, so we can show how the fans speed up or slow down depending on temperature. We have a piezo, which I also know as a buzzer, which is simulating a notification which we would have on an application that we might use for the users. We have a green and a red LED. These LEDs indicate whether you're in safe temperature modes for the plants or dangerous temperature modes for the plants. The images we have below all this text show the displays that we get in the different states of the system. On the middle image on the bottom screen, we are displaying perfect, which indicates that it is between 18 and 32 degrees. We have displays too cold when below 18 degrees. And then the same with the too hot, it displays too hot whenever it is above 32 degrees. Right, here's some of my code. We have a display temp and a notify fan functions. These are your most important functions. We do have an extra function that isn't screenshotted here, which is a temperature measurement. Both our display and our notify fan functions are detecting whether it's between 18 degrees or 32 degrees. So within our display function, we are doing all of the displays of perfect, too hot, and too cold based off the temperature if statements. When we are in our notify fan function, we are simply telling the LEDs which LEDs light up and which LEDs don't, when the fan should run, at what speed, and if the buzzer should buzz. So in perfect state, we light up the green light, we turn the alarm off, and we have the fan running at a slow speed. Meanwhile, in a hot state, the fan runs at a fast speed, we have a red light, and the alarm is going off at a different pitch than the too cold would. The too cold, however, also runs a red light with an alarm running at a different pitch. However, we also have the fan turned fully off. So here are the 3 demonstrations of the different states of the system. We have our too cold, perfect, and too hot. They all show the temperature, the state, whether it's perfect, too hot, or too cold, a red or a green LED telling you what state it's in. The fan is either off, running slowly, or running extremely fast, and the buzzer is either on or off depending on the state.
For our greenhouse design, I decided to create a CO2 monitoring system. This CO2 monitoring system would allow us to then control the environment and keep all humans safe from coming into contact with high levels of CO2 within the greenhouse. The hardware which I used to design my circuit was a gas sensor, LCD, resistor, buzzer, a red LED and a green LED. The purpose of using a gas sensor was so that it would then detect any smoke when in range of the sensor. Resistors were used in order to control the number of watts and then also to prevent it from the circuit from failing. A LCD was used in order to print the information to explain the current situation of the CO2 levels. A buzzer was used in order to alert the user of high levels of CO2 and tell them to leave the greenhouse immediately. A red LED and a green LED was used in order to show the current state of the environment. When designing my circuit, I used code in order to allow the circuit to run smoothly. When the red LED was set to high, the green LED was set to low. This was then followed by some text to show that the CO2 levels were high and that the person must exit the building immediately. I also created code to show that when the green LED was set to high and the red was set to low, it would then show on the LCD that the CO2 levels were at a moderate level and at an optimal amount. I also decided to use some comments within my code to show what the current situation was and allowed me to understand when to implement my new set of code. Here are some demonstrations of my circuit when operating.
So, as for my part, I choose to do an automated plant watering monitoring, which is a smart irrigation. So, the system ensures that the plant receives enough water and detects the soil moisture levels. But in this case, I use temperature sensor to replace the soil moisture sensor. The hardware used were Arduino Uno, LCD display, potentiometer, resistors, temperature sensor, NPN transistor, LED lights. How it works. If the soil becomes dry, the sensor automatically turns on the water pump to supply water to the plant. As the plant receives enough water and the sensor detects enough moisture, after which the water pump will automatically turns off. For the code I used, so the LCD shows a smart irrigation as the heading then displays the temperature and the water pump changes. If the temperature is greater than 50 degrees, the water pump turns on as well, the motor goes on, and the LED red light goes on. If the temperature is less than 50, the water pump turns off as well, the motor turns off, and the LED green light goes on. So for the demonstration, so basically the LCD shows the temperature, which is in Celsius, and water pump changes. It has a green and red light, LED light. So what the LED does is checks if the water pump is on or off. So from the code, if the temperature is greater than 50, the motor is high and the red light is. If the temperature is example 74, as for the picture, the red light will glow. That means it is hot and the water pump should be on. So in the case if the temperature is less than 50, for example, if the temperature is 30, as for the picture, the water pump should be off, as it is quite cold and the moisture is pleasant, which makes the green light glows.
Is there any questions? If so, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.